Okay, this is a quick review on your semester final. Here, what is the height of the density curve between 0 and 2? What is the median? For you to draw this, you're going to draw a rectangle. So here, I'm going to draw a rectangle from this direction coming out, coming down, and it's from 0 to 2. So 0 starts here, 2 is here, and equally placed 1 in the middle. That's what you want to do here. So what's the median? The median is the number. The median is the number that's in between your endpoints. So 0 and 2 are your endpoints. Median is right in the middle. So your median is 1. Okay. And now it says find the proportion of outcomes that lie between 0.5 and 0.3. So what that means is I'm going to take 1.3 minus 0.5 and I get 0.8. Then I have to take it and multiply it by my height. The height here is determined by taking the total number of data that I have. So I have up to 2, right? And I do 1 divided by 2. So that is my average height. So I'll take 0.8 times 1/2 and I'll get 0.4. That's the proportion of my outcomes right there. Okay, so continuing on, I'm going down here to number 5, and it says a set of data has a normal distribution with a mean of 5.1 and a standard deviation of 0.9. Find the percent of data within each interval. So the first thing you want to do is label your normal curve. You guys should remember how to do this from a while back, but let's take a look at an example here. So just remember, you're going to put down your mean. Your mean is 5.1, so it goes right in the middle. Your deviation goes up 0.9, so this is going to be 6.0, 6.9, and the very last part should read 7.2. Oh, sorry, 7.8. And then going backward, this should read 4.2. And then you subtract 0.9 again. I believe this should read 3.9. Subtract 0.9 one more time, and this should read 3.0. Okay, so that's part A. So remember that rule of 50% going up this direction, 50% here. So that's the bottom 50% here. This is the upper 50% from that line. And we had that rule of in the middle is 68. So it's 34 and 34. Then in between here is 95. So it's 27. Add to that, so now it's actually looking at 13.5 here and 13.5 here. And then the last part is going to be 2.35, and I believe 2.35 right here. Now remember that anything this above the third deviation, okay, is actually 2.5. But remember when we talked about that percentage range, we're looking at 68, and then we're looking at 95, and then we're looking at 97%. But remember, that's not the entire percentage because we're looking at 100%, okay? So anything above this 97% will actually account for 2.5 here and 2.5 over there. So between 6.0 and 6.9, we look at 6.0 and 6.9. Here it is, right there. I'm looking in between these two guys. Then I'm looking at this much, so it's 13.5. If I look between 4.2 and 6.0 now, okay, I'm looking at 34 and 34, so that's 68. If I look at anything less than 4.2, then remember, then I take 50 minus 34, and that gives me 16, okay? So those are my numbers, okay? Now we move on to the next page. And I wish you luck on that part. Again, one more thing. On the number 1 and number 2, they're both the same, but just different numbers. When it asks for the height right here, remember it means you draw it right here. You draw a box. See, you're going from 0 to 4. What is your height? Your height, again, just another hint, is how many data do I have? I have 4 data points. So I guess what? I take 1 divided by 4. If I had 10, I would go from 0 to 10. I have 10 data points. I go 1 divided by 10 and so forth. Okay, that should give you the height right there. I forgot to kind of talk about that in part 1 of the example, but I covered it in number 3 over here. Okay, good luck, guys. Now here comes the trick part that we've done, that you guys had a brief introduction to here. Sketch the following angles. This is pretty simple. If you take a look at your angle measurement, if you look for a positive, notice this says theta equals to 120 degrees. That's a positive number. So I start at 0 here. Let me go ahead and change the color of this. 0 here. And then I'm going to go counterclockwise. Okay, so right now I just hit 90. And then I hit 30 degrees more, about right here. And then my angle goes from the origin coming out this way. So this is 120 degrees. That's all it's telling me to do. Okay. Negative 120, part B. I'm doing the same thing like I did in part A, but instead of going counterclockwise, I go clockwise. So I go all the way this way. I hit negative 90, basically going backward. That's actually 270. That's negative. Then I go this direction a little bit further, and now I am now tracing an angle this direction. So now I'm going counterclockwise. This is the direction I'm moving. This is negative 120 degrees. Okay, so that's the only thing difference between those two. So when you're sketching 750, remember that you can only move around one circle will be 0 to 360. So this is basically back to the starting point. So now I've gone from 0 to 360. Then make another movement around. I keep going again, one more time around the world. Come this way. So guess what now? I've added another 360, so now I'm at 720. So from there, if I take a look at this, what is 750? This number, 750 minus that 720 right here. I'm looking at this guy. So that means I take that 750 and I minus 720, and I get 30. So that means I need to just go up a little bit more, and there I am. This is 750 degrees. So what that means is that I've just gone around the coordinate system once, twice, and then I went 30 degrees more. That's it. Okay, so 750 degrees is really equivalent to 30 degrees because you're kind of just revolving around twice plus 30 degrees. Now here comes the trick part that will require you to know SOHCAHTOA a little bit, but I made this a little bit easier here. I'm saying let r equal to 1, use the diagram on the 3rd page and trig functions below to find the following. So when r equals to 1, instead of sine of the angle is equal to y divided by r, it's just y, because y divided by 1 is just y. So for the first one, I want to find sine of 45 degrees. So let's take a look at the 3rd page. So let's go back here. So this is saying square root of 2 over 2. Then the next one is cosine of 30 degrees. Okay, what is cosine 30 degrees? Let's go back to the table. So here's square root of 3 over 2. Now the last one is asking for tangent of 30. So coming back over here, it's 1 divided by the square root of 3. Now the last one talks about find 4 angles that are coterminal with 30 degrees angle drawn in standard position. What I mean by standard position means you're starting off at the origin and then you're moving around. So here I can, from standard position, that just means I can take 30 degrees and I'm just going to go ahead and add full circle degree measurements to that to give me the next angle that is coterminal to that. So that means I can add 360 to this and get 390. I can take 30 degrees plus 2 times 360, and that will give me 720 plus 30, which is 750. This is like one of the problems we just did a little bit earlier. Then I can go in the negative direction and go 30 degrees minus 360. That means I'm going in the negative direction. And this will give me negative 330. And the last one will be 30 degrees minus 2 times 360. Let me go ahead and make this a little bit nicer here. And I believe this will be negative 720 minus 30, which is negative 690. These are your 4 angles that it asks you about. That's based on 30. And do you notice every single time that it is based on one full revolution or multiple revolutions fully? Okay, so when I mean full revolutions means, like, think of it like on a bicycle, you made one full turn. Okay, so that's 360 degrees. So these are the 4 angles that are coterminal with a 30-degree angle drawn in standard position. So this basically summarizes everything that you can use. You can use this on the test as well. Okay, the right side is the practice part, which you guys do on your own. Okay. Here's this mnemonic right here. Or I mean this diagram, I should say, not mnemonic. Here's my 45 degrees. And if you went back to the other page, it said, let's write this down, it said sine of the angle equals y, cosine of the angle equals x, and then tangent of the angle equals y over x. Okay, that's all you need to know. So for the first one, it said sine of 45 degrees. That was part A. So sine of 45 degrees is equal to the y value of this coordinate right here. So what's the y value of that coordinate? Happens to be this guy right here. That's the y coordinate. So that's square root of 2 over 2. This will be provided for you on the test. Obviously, this little circle right here. Okay? Then if we go back, the diagram here, here's 30 degrees. It says here, cosine of theta is equal to x. So when cosine of theta equals to x, here is the x value. So part B, cosine of 30 degrees is equal to square root of 3 over 2. Okay? Back to the diagram, tangent of an angle is equal to the y divided by the x. So here, tangent of 30, right here, when it's circles in green, is equal to the y value of 1/2 divided by square root of 3 over 2. So tangent of the angle, 30 degrees, is equal to 1 over 2 divided by, let me move this up a little bit further, divided by square root of 3 over 2. Now this is a little trick here. When you're dividing by denominators, by fractions, okay, especially by like denominators, and you notice here I have this one here is 2 at the bottom. Sorry, I didn't mean to make that with a green mark here. That's a 2. That's a 2 as well. I can easily cross these guys out, and I will get tangent of 30 degrees is equal to 1 over the square root of 3. That will be my answer. Go back when you're dividing a fraction by a fraction, okay? For example, going back to this 1/2 divided by the square root of 3 over 2, then this is really saying 1/2 times 2 divided by square root of 3. It's multiplying the denominator by the reciprocal. So notice how I took this fraction right here, and I basically turned it into a multiplication problem right here and just flipped it upside down. Okay? And then these two cancel out, and you get 1 over square root of 3.